Hello and welcome to Sam's on Wrestling, and this is our count-out series. It is our personal top 10 series. We are not telling you what are the best, worst, or whatever. These are our personal because we are sick of other YouTubers telling you what are the top 10 are. These are our personal ones because we want to see what your personal ones are. And today, we are looking at the title that's probably the most important title in WWE. It's always on telly. It's always being defended. It's never just left randomly to somebody for no reason whatsoever. We wanted to give the United States Championship some love because no one else seems to.
No one else.
It's literally ridiculous how often, even if there's a good champion and you go, yay, like they say, LA Knight, I was back to Nakamura and Nakamura does nothing with it. And you're like, come on, do something with it. Yeah. So this is what we want to do. We want to give some love. And we're going to do our favourite top 10 US champion. I'm joined by Baby Sam. Baby Sam?
Hello.
How did you finding your favourite 10 United States champions?
So the 5 were doable, and then I had to think a lot for the next 5.
We originally were going to do only 5 because we thought, well, it's rubbish, really. Then we went, you know what, no, let's stretch it to 10. Let's see what we actually would say for 10, 9, etc.
See if we can praise 10 US champions in their reigns.
But before we get into our top 10, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And let's go now and find out what are our top 10 United States champions. Number 10. Sam, where have you gone with number 10?
So number 10, I've got a tie. This is the only time this happens in the list, and it's because they're thematically linked.
Okay.
They're basically here for the same reason.
Okay.
I've got Zack Ryder and LA Knight in the same one.
They're the same person.
Well, it's that, and I was really happy that they won, and their reigns were terrible. But
people were saying that LA Knight had a generational reign. I went, no, he didn't.
What?
No, he didn't.
Learn what generational means.
Everyone else was rubbish, and he obviously was in between Nakamura and Logan Paul. That so much so that everyone went, "Oh, this is amazing!" Like it literally wasn't. He had like 7 defenses, a couple mainly on SmackDown. I think he made one pay-per-view. I can't even remember. It was literally okay.
Yeah, it was fine, and it was really annoying because again, this is not either their fault. They just LA Knight infuriated me because you could have had him go against people like maybe Solo Sikoa, or just give him long matches or just a feud, a storyline. He didn't really seem to get a storyline, and that's the same.
He had an Andrade Carmelo, but it felt like he was more piggybacking off Andrade and Carmelo.
Exactly, and it just never felt like they put effort into it, which is a real shame. But I was really happy he won. So he's here because the bar's really low for the top 10.
Do you know what? This might be the most saddening 10th position, because we're saying, oh, I really struggled. This is my number 10, Sam. It's Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
And the reason he's number 10 is because, A, there wasn't much to the reign, but the reason he's on my top 10, we were so happy that he won, because for 2 reasons. One, everyone liked Daniel Bryan. Even at this early stage, we all wanted Bryan, right? Particularly, you saw it when he got returned at SummerSlam, people were happy, even though he was been on telly technically a day with the Nexus first attack. But we all collectively at the same time went, well, this is as good as it's going to get for Daniel Bryan. He ain't going to go anywhere else. Hooray! And he had a decent feud with The Miz. You know,
the story for him winning the title was great.
Yeah, it's really good. So I actually really enjoyed it. There's not much else to it. I generally can't even remember much else. Did he lose it to Sheamus in the end?
I believe so. I may as well talk about this now because this is my number 9.
Then let's put the 9 on the screen.
Yes. I liked it. I think it was really solid, and it's just in an era of really bad US champions, and especially going forward after this, he was really solid. It just felt like he was a good person to have as US champion. He had a story with the Bellas, and that was going on.
He was going out with Gail Kim.
Yeah, it was bad.
But I'm actually not unhappy that he had that rivalry.
Agreed.
Because he got to find the love of his life.
Also, well, that's a great point. I didn't think of that.
Completely unrelated. That's how he got connected to Bray.
No, I didn't even think of that. But it was more the fact that they were doing that show. They were at least giving him something and giving him. And I was like, right.
Well, they were trying to go. Look, he would be with these hot women.
Then he marries one of them.
Yeah, literally. Literally. This is Vince's brain. He went, look at this dweeb who's a vegan who's small, and these 3 smoking hot. Well, they ain't going to go anywhere near him. It's like, literally, Vince, you're a clown. Proven. My number 10. Sorry, your number 10 is my number 9. It's Zack Ryder.
Well, let's just keep talking about it.
I love Zack Ryder. I do not have LA Knight on mine because I actually generally don't think his reign is good. I was disappointed. I was like, oh, it was like right, here you go, LA. We've given you something. Now, That's what it felt like. Yeah. It was one of the few times that Triple H's booking, I think, he's not pulled the trigger on LA Knight. Didn't pull the trigger at the time. No. And that's why pulling the trigger on Jey Uso was the correct one and all that jazz. Zack Ryder had the title for a cup of coffee and a hiccup.
Oh, wow.
But there was not a single person in the entirety of TLC who wasn't frigging delighted. We want Ryder, and it felt like Vince went, okay, here you go. Shut up now. It felt like that because we all stopped saying we want Ryder the minute he lost
That's
the title.
kind of why I linked Ryder and LNI. It felt like a very similar thing, just one was more drawn out than the other and less.
So it's the worst. It's one of the worst reigns in history because it's 2 weeks of nothing.
Yeah, but you got to have a reign.
The celebration of him winning at Madison Square Garden, he's New York and all that jazz. Big fan for me.
Yeah.
I loved it. I was delighted at the time. Number 8, Sammy Darling.
I've gone with Chris Jericho.
I nearly went Jericho. I don't have him on my list because in my eyes, the reason I didn't go with Jericho is because it felt like a relegation to what was actually happening, and I got bitter about it. Because even though the reign is fine, and they have a good match at WrestleMania, no, they don't. Vince says it's the worst match in history, but they have I don't like that they had the US title involved.
No, I
was
agree.
happy that he took it off Reigns.
I had given him this spot for one main reason, two, because there's not many, but
It was a sexy pinata.
No, that's one. But in an interview after winning the title from Roman Reigns, he is basically with Kevin Owens. They're doing a little sketchy promo with Kathy Kelly, and he gets on a step and goes higher than Kevin Owens, and he declares himself the Great Jericho Ali. And because of that, he goes on number 8. They're really entertaining with it. He has the US Championship during the Festival of Friendship. That's the storyline. He goes after the US title after Goldberg happens. So I'm just giving it to him because it was a fun little reign that ended with a really good feud.
My number 8 might not even be on your list at all.
Go on.
I've gone Kofi Kingston. Because I wanted to pay a little bit of respect for a man who was essentially going, could you please hold this? We're doing something over here. Could you do something? Can I face anyone? You might have a match on a pay-per-view. How much time will I get? Always 12 minutes. But the 12 minutes were always fun. Don't get me wrong, hardly any of the matches are memorable. But if you go through pay-per-views from 2008 all the way to 2012, there's always a Kofi with the IC or the US title doing something, having a fun match with Dolph or The Miz or Cesaro, Wade Barrett, and they're always good fun. And I've always enjoyed them. And admittedly, if you asked me which one was an IC or a US title run, I couldn't tell you. But I enjoyed all of the Kofi ones, and I felt like he was the epitome of the mid-card, and he essentially was the champion of the mid-card. And I wanted to kind of give him the respect to actually doing a lot of hard work.
Oh, he was great. Maybe it's something I should have put on it. It's just not that memorable to me.
That's why he's 8.
And a lot of them he's a challenger as well, so it's not like necessarily a reign. But I see what you're doing, yeah.
Number 7, Sammy Darling.
I've gone with AJ Styles.
Oh, again, not on my list, because I remember nothing outside of the Kevin Owens botch, where Kevin Owens wins the title when he wasn't meant to win the title.
We'll gloss over that, I'm more going to wins it from Owens and then has a little bit of a reign. And I do say a little bit. Does he lose it to Corbin, I think?
Who cares?
No, I know. And
Doesn't he also win it in 2019 with all the lots of people like Ricochet and Ray?
That's
and
not
all
what
that.
I'm basing off.
Yeah.
It's more because he's AJ Styles in 2017, so of course he's good.
Yeah, every match he's going to have is great. This rivalry with Kevin Owens wasn't great.
And it should have been. But they made it an America thing.
Kevin Owens not walking on his face and being the face of America and then went, but you're not going to be United States champion. No, you're like, but I've shaved my face. I've come up with a new gimmick. You put it on the floor. No. And you're like, Vince, write a script for 4 months, man.
Yeah. It wasn't great. Their matches really weren't that good. And that's the one thing you can't blame Vince on. The matches weren't that
Same with
good.
him and Nakamura.
Not chemistry.
AJ Styles is one of, if not the greatest wrestler of all time from an in-ring standpoint, and I will fight anyone when people go, what about this person? I go, because AJ couldn't do a submission match, he can do high flying, he can do a wrestling, he can do a brawl, he can do it all, and that's why he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time for how much he can do. But there are 2 people that you'd expect to have some brilliant matches in WWE. I know
Nakamura's Japan. Brilliant.
But you can just kick in. People love the kicking, but AJ Styles didn't make my list because I forgot that it existed.
Which is
pretty much
a good reason.
Yes. My number 7 is The Big Show.
What's this?
I tell you what, Sam. He was the 2nd ever United States champion in the WWE. And this was, everyone goes, Big Show, but this was Big Show in WWE at his best. Paul Heyman is writing SmackDown, and Paul Heyman made him a monster all the way through. He beat Eddie Guerrero for the title, the person we loved and cared for, and he had a fun rivalry with Eddie because it was the poo and the
that one.
Yeah.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah, and then making me eat a burrito.
Yeah.
But he's dominating people. He is throwing people around. He had a 5-month reign, and he was so dominant that he was given to John Cena as the John Cena's big moment at WrestleMania. And John Cena can't have that moment if he's not got a really brilliant or formidable opponent, as proven with JBL, because it didn't work as well. Because everyone wanted JBL to lose the title, but they were like, the matches suck because they can't do it. But Big Show is so powerful. You can have a great FU moment and all that jazz. But Big Show's reign for 5 months is of dominant anger and all that stuff. And it made the title something still. It carried on Eddie Guerrero and Cena carried it on. So it actually was still prestigious. And this was when Big Show was at his best. If you think Big Show was rubbish, watch it the minute he gets drafted to SmackDown, 2002 round Survivor Series, to pretty much WrestleMania 20 when they then jumped Paul Heyman out at that point. Big Show is actually brilliant.
Yeah, agreed. So I just didn't watch it at the time, so I can't rank it, but yeah.
Number 6, Sam.
I've gone The Miz, 2010.
I get that. Yeah, I get that.
He had the briefcase, and he had the tag titles, and he had the US title.
Do you want to know who my number 6 is?
Go on.
I came to play. I've
got The Miz as well. There we go.
I have The Miz at number 6 as well.
He wouldn't have quite made the 5.
No.
But he was great.
I really enjoyed The Miz as United States Champion. Yes. I really did, particularly his first one, actually. That's the one
first one, yeah.
That's the one I actually enjoyed the most. I really enjoyed that he had a tag team with the Big Show and they were dual champions. I thought Miz was, at the time, a perfect US champion and wasn't ready for WWE title when they gave it to him. I felt he should have carried on there for another year and genuinely could have made it a bit later. He wasn't ready. He was still mid-card. But he was so good at the mid-card that he's United States champion. He was the best heel.
Yeah, and this is why they gave him the briefcase. They almost made the mistake of giving him the briefcase too early, but ultimately, from the Miz's point of view, he got to main event.
Exactly.
And then he might have run into Punk and been pushed down. Yeah. So, timing's everything.
Weirdly, it slowed him down.
Weirdly, yeah.
I think he was ascending, and I think if the Ascension was that, I think it would have been great. But the Ascension was that, and I think this beautiful Ascension, and then they just went almost vertical.
You had to kick back to it. You had to bring him down,
and they did bring him down really fast. He retains at Mania and then loses at the pay-per-view afterwards, and you're like, why did you do that?
Because it was all about the Rocks.
And Cena, but I still don't get the booking of Cena winning the title after losing to the Rock. It should have been constant failure and constant unsuccess, and he's the champion again. You're like, keep it on The Miz. Keep it. I still don't get that to this day. But yes, The Miz are both our number 6s. That's lovely.
Yes.
We're into the top 5. Sammy, where have you gone top 5?
Oh, the OG, the MVP of the US titles. MVP. Oh, this is the US champion I grew up with. He had a really long reign with that.
Ballin. That first reign's fabulous.
Oh, it's brilliant. He's really good. He's just a great heel, but he's really good foil for like a babyface that's trying to win and he just
Matt Hardy. Yeah. His 4-month rivalry with Matt Hardy.
It's simple, but it's great. He'd always try to prove that they're better than each other, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Well, they did. I remember there was a basketball. I remember them doing it, pizza eating contest or hot dog, whatever it was. I remember there's a clear memory. Matt Hardy is about to challenge MVP on SmackDown to United States Champion because they've been messing about, and the crowd start chanting TLC, and Matt's like, that's not what I'm going to say, so shut up. And you're just there going, don't start chanting a thing if you don't. It's like when people go, we want tables, and then there are no tables, and you're like, just let it happen. Yeah. But then when they were chanting TLC, and Matt was like, that's not what I'm booking. I'm having a singles fatal 4-way or whatever it was. I really enjoyed that reign, I have to admit. It was really, really, really good.
When we did the title association game, and I said MVP for the US Championship.
And I understood. I got it.
He's always been my guy. So MVP had to go in there.
I've got a weird one at number 5. Rusev.
Oh no, it's not weird at all, Sam.
I loved Rusev's title reign, and people go, it wasn't that good. I went, his title reign was so good that he was able to have a match with Cena at WrestleMania, and they gave him the biggest entrance of the night.
Yes, and it was a big deal when Cena beat him.
Yes, and it felt a big deal because he'd had really good this America against America because he beat Mark Henry and Big Show and all these people. Swagger. It was a really good reign, and he was so dominant, fed to Cena and killed like everybody else. But Rusev was great. He had a good feud with Roman Reigns over the United States Championship as well, because no one cares about this match. And they didn't have a match at a pay-per-view. Roman just attacked him, and everyone was going mad. It was the first time I was going, Roman babyface. People are cheering for this attack on Rusev.
And the Hell in a Cell match.
It was. Yeah. Well, I think it was at a pay-per-view beforehand, and then they had the Hell in a Cell. Yeah. I think Rusev generally is a really underrated United States champion.
Oh, I'll be talking about him later. So.
Interesting. Number 4. Sam, where have you gone for number 4?
I've gone BobbyLashley.
Okay, I'm going to tell you my number 4.
Go on.
Seth Rollins.
Interesting. Very interesting. When he won the title around, was it 2019? Or
it's
around that?
Well, no,
Was it
because
2020?
no, he's in the feud with Austin Theory and all that jazz. He takes it off Theory and stuff. He wins it a
He
lot.
wins it when he's with the Hurt Business.
Well, first of all, he wins it in 2006 for a start.
Oh, yeah.
He wins it for
That's
like
not
a cup of coffee and a handshake. But I liked it because it was around the Theory and Rollins, and it weirdly was actually really fun with him and Rollins, and I went with the Rollins side of things.
I went Lashley.
But do you want to know why I've got Rollins? I also liked him winning it off Cena. As much as I hated how it happened with the Jon Stewart thing, I was really happy for him to be double champion. It made the United States a big deal because Cena was doing the big deal thing as well at the time, and it kept the big deal going because it was now a part of the WWE Championship. I liked Seth. I didn't like Bobby because I think he had a lot of really small, tiny reigns that didn't mean anything. He didn't look as dominant as he could have done, like Seth did. I thought Seth did a good job with the US title.
I think he did as well. I think
Austin Theory did a terrible job.
Oh, he's not on my list.
Why isn't he being pushed? Because he sucks.
Yeah, of course. He's a young lad, to be fair.
Everyone's been saying he's a young lad now for about 4 years.
Is that Marcus Rashford?
He is like Marcus Rashford. Oh my god, he is the Marcus Rashford. Oh my god. That's exactly what it is.
If you watch football, then you
might. We don't need to go any further.
No.
I think we've nailed it. Yeah. Because we're not talking about Austin Theory, but he's the Marcus Rashford to our Seth Rollins and our Bobby Lashley. The Bronze Medal Award. Sam, I would like to do mine first.
Go for it.
Because I have MVP at number 3. You've got number 5. I went number 3 because I think, personally, this is arguably the second most famous United States run in history.
Oh, agreed.
I think there's one, and I might be talking about that one reign later, but I think this is the most famous run. He had it for 300-odd days, and it wasn't a side thing, because even though he was having the 4-month feud with Matt Hardy, and it felt like the United States title was pushed aside, it was like who was the better man to culminate in the United States Championship. He beat Benoit as well after having a really good match at WrestleMania to prove that he could hold with Benoit, and he had decent rivalry there. The problem I had with MVP around this time, and I have one negative, they ruined his gimmick. How quickly did he give up this, I am like almost like an American football star sort of thing, like I'm better than you have to pay lots of money for me, I'm a higher echelon. They stripped him of what made it, because they put him with Kane, didn't they?
They simplified it a lot.
They had Kane burn him alive, and you're like, that's not. Like, I know that was early, and then they did this. I was like, if they'd have literally kept him as the no, I don't fight until like almost like Brock Lesnar. Yeah. If I don't fight until you pay me enough and all that jazz. He had main event WWE Championship written all over him. I don't know if he had the work to be able to do it, because his in ring I always find MVP is a bit fine.
Yeah.
I always think he's a very solid 6 out of 10 wrestler, but they ruined his gimmick for me.
It's almost like they didn't want to do the flashy entrance every time. You know what I mean? They wanted.
But what an entrance!
Yeah, what a great entrance!
What an entrance!
Yeah.
Oh my god!
They could have kept that for pay-per-views.
I don't understand. Yeah, that's literally all you need to do. You didn't need to do it on SmackDown. Do it on pay-per-view, guys. I think MVP's character around this time was awesome. I'm glad he got to do another thing with the Hurt Business. I think he should have stopped bitching about the Hurt Business. It ran its course. I think it was literally ran its course. It could have gone further. Go out when it's hot. Don't keep going until it dries. Lashley was WWE champion. You literally couldn't do anything else with it.
Yeah.
And then, we're going to go back and do it again in AEW.
Going really well.
Yeah. Who's your number 3?
To quote Alan Partridge, can I just shock you and say Logan Paul? Genuinely, he's gone. I don't like Logan Paul. He's leaving. He's slammed the door. Okay, so I'll just take it from here. I don't like Logan Paul. I don't like him. I've never really enjoyed him as a person. However, he's a really good wrestler, and the gimmick of I'm the influencer, I've got the championship even though I shouldn't, I thought worked really well. Everyone wanted him to lose. He had really good matches when he defended it, and he didn't always defend it, so the part-time thing's a problem. But I think it was a nice little, I think it's about 6 months, to have that as a gimmick for the US Championship, made it feel more important, and it was a big deal when LA Knight beat him for it. I think he should have lost it at Mania, not SummerSlam, but I actually liked it. I think he's a good heel, because he's a very dislikable person, but he leans into it. He's good at, controlling the crowd. I liked it, and that's all I can say. It's my list, not his, not yours. I don't like the kid, but I think he's really good at WWE, so I've got him at number 3. So number 2, I've gone with Rusev. Sam, what do you think of Rusev? Oh yes, very good point. Rusev is a great champion. I think it speaks volumes the fact that in 2014, when The Rock came and did a surprise return, he went and faced off with Rusev, because frankly, late 2014, Rusev is pretty much the only good thing going on Monday Night Raw. Rusev was fantastic. I'd love to hear Sam's number 2, but we're never going to hear Sam's number 2 or his number 1, because I think he's given up on me as a person. This might be the last time you see me on this channel. I do apologise, but I've gone with Logan Paul. Rusev's beaten him at least. But yeah, that's my number 2.
Eddie Guerrero.
Sam's gone with Eddie Guerrero as his number 2, and I'm sure he'll have a big spiel about how back in the 60s he watched Eddie Guerrero and enjoyed him on SmackDown and was quite good at the wrestling and stuff like that. I was merely barely born at the time, but I'm sure Eddie Guerrero was probably quite a lot of fun as the US champion. That's my review of a thing that I've never seen, and that's number 2. And quite appropriately for number 1, both of our number 1s, you can't see Sam at all because I'm just assuming...
That was the joke I was going to make!
There we go.
Eddie Guerrero, by the way. First ever champion. Lie, cheat and steal gimmick was happening at the same time. Really entertaining. He is the face of the United States Championship for me because I epitomise him with the title. That's all. I epitomise him with the title. And losing to Big Show was a really sad deal, but it centred him to the WWE Championship. Without United States Champion in that run, we might not have got WWE Champion. John Cena is number 1.
Oh,
Sam.
he is number 1. Of course he's number 1.
This is the most famous reign in the history of the United States. That open challenge, forget his previous reigns, forget even technically the reign that followed after it, technically, this is exactly how you do a mid-card title if you don't have any feuds. Bron Breakker should have had this gimmick.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. It's literally one of the best gimmicks. And Cena went, I want to prove I can wrestle. Everyone was still going, 5 million in the gym. There are still people online. I had an argument with someone on TikTok about Cena, and then it goes, he shouldn't win the title. He's only got 5 moves to do. And I went, have you not watched AJ Styles?
Well,
have you not watched Punk?
You can't treat those arguments seriously.
You really can't. Well, that's why I stopped to when I don't argue with them. I always like to have a discussion with the wrestling fans because that's the idea. I want it to be a discussion. But the minute you throw out essentially mark things to say, I'm not going to pay attention. Oh, CM Punk's rubbish. He's made of glass. And you're like, he's clearly not rubbish. He's clearly really, really, really good. You can hate the man, and I can argue that some do and some deserve to hate the man, whatever. But in the ring, he's clearly very good and clearly can talk. He's really entertaining. Listen to the noise. But Cena doesn't have 5 moves to do. He did. I agree. And that ended around 2011.
Even before, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So these matches that he has, Cesaro, Kevin Owens, Zack Ryder, Dean Ambrose, Neville, Barrett, amazing matches. His first 3 reigns are also brilliant. Starts with a Big Show, goes on this thing where he starts having a feud with Kurt Angle. It really pushes him to a star because he's feuding with the heel GM. Has a best of 5 series with Booker T, wins, loses it the next night to Carlito because someone has stabbed him in a nightclub. He beats the hell out of Jesus, wins the title back. Lose it to Orlando Jordan on the ascent to the WWE Championship. Cena genuinely, I hated his spin United States Championship belt. It's better than his WWE one, but Jesus, it's terrible. Cena is and will be, and I'm going to include you WCW United States champions. He is the greatest United States champion of all time on any list with any category. You can't go, who was the best matches? He had the best matches. Oh, who was the most over? He was the most over. Who was the biggest star? He was the biggest star. Who made the United States champion more important? He made it more important than it ever has been on any of our champions on this list, Sam.
Agreed. I echo all of that. And I think it almost took Cena being given it for WWE to then take it seriously. I feel like if Ellen Knight had gone, oh guys, I want to do this US Champion Open Challenge thing, they'd have gone, you get 2 or 3 matches. Whereas Cena, because it was Cena, and Cena could almost, let's face it, book his own reign in a good way.
He kind of did.
Yeah, in a good way, because he's got that power. He used it for good and created so many
He gave people
great moments.
He gave so many people he would have beaten in 4 minutes. 15 minutes max. Like Zack Ryder.
And he'd go, what town are we in? Oh, it's Zack Ryder's hometown. Have Zack Ryder, and then just have a great match with them. It's so wrestling's so easy when you actually just break it down to its foundations. And Cena has a great mind for the business and just created magic. It was the best thing going in 2015.
It really
by
was.
Far.
Cena genuinely is one of the greatest ever, and I will not have it any other way. He can talk. Yeah, always for the kids because it was a PG content. Of course, it was for the kids. He did the character because he proved he could do it for the adults in 2002 and 2003. He proved he could do it for the adults. So there's you ridiculous because he's one of the most altruistic people there's ever been. Cena's United States Championship reign is the greatest of all time. But before we end it, we want to hear your top 10 list. We want to know who you think are the best United States champions of all time. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And Sam, I'm sorry, you are fired.
Yeah, it's fair, isn't it? I even want to quit myself just for saying it.
Get out.
I would do a Logan Paul thing, but I know none of his taunts because I don't like.
Get out. Welcome to Sam on Wrestling. And this seems better.